Fools! You did not heed my warning. I told you that doom was coming. You were not prepared when my idiot of a brother, Vorinclex, stole the elixir from Kaldheim, and you incorrectly predicted the time and location of our next attack. Now it is too late. Doom is here. Our process is nearly complete. Our goal will soon be met. Prepare if you must, but I promise you it will be in vain. After all, I am not the worst praetor in New Phyrexia, as much as I hate to admit it. We no longer must restrain ourselves to New Phyrexia, and as such, my army has grown. I am here to give you a preview of the terrors you have to look forward to, courtesy of Tyrant. First is myself, Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant. The first artifact, instant or sorcery I cast on each turn is copied, and the first spell of one of those types my opponents cast each turn are countered. Only Phyrexia deserves to progress. A classic member of our army, Blightsteel Colossus, is a massive being of might and blight. Core Prowler has Infect, and when it dies I proliferate. Corpse Cur has Infect, and it returns a creature with Infect from my grave to my hand when it enters. Grafted Exoskeleton gives +2/+2 and Infect. Ickerclaw Mirror has Infect, and receives +2/+2 whenever it is blocked. Plague Mirror has Infect, and taps for 1. Lastly is Wormcoil Engine, which has Death Touch and Lifelink, and splits in 2 upon death. As the Augur of the Core, I take special care of my artifacts. Academy Ruins can recur an artifact. Acquire allows me to steal an artifact from an opponent's deck. Arcbound Reclaimer can recur artifacts. Buried Ruin can be sacrificed to do the same. Foundry Inspector makes my artifacts cheaper. Golden Guardian becomes land when it dies and generates more golems. Master of Ethereum grants a buff to my artifact creatures. Reality Heist, which depicts an arrogant human stealing my work, can grab 2 artifacts from my deck. Sculpting Steel enters as a copy of any artifact on the field. Tezzeret, Artifice Master, creates Thopters and draws me cards. Betrayer of Flesh makes my artifact abilities cheaper and also draws cards. Cruel Machinist draws me cards and can turn artifacts to creatures. The Seeker untaps artifacts and can search them up. For card draw, which is one way that my army can win, I have Font of Mythos, which has everyone draw 2 extra cards each turn. Gitaxian Probe lets me look at a player's hand and draw a card. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, lets me win the game when I deck out. My older model, Core Augur, has me draw 7 cards at my end step and reduces everyone's hand size by 7. Mind's Eye lets me pay 1 whenever an opponent draws a card to also draw 1. Mirrodin Besieged, which depicts one of my victories, can win me the game if I have at least 15 artifacts in my grave. Pirate's Prize draws me 2. and creates a treasure. Psychosis Scrawler causes my opponents to lose life whenever I draw a card. Teferi's Ageless Insight doubles my card draws. Temple Bell can be tapped to make everyone draw one. Thirst for Knowledge draws me 3 cards. Then I discard 2 unless I discard an artifact. Deadeye Navigator is the start of my support, and it bonds to a creature when either one enters, and I can pay 2 mana to blink either creature. Glasspool Mimic can either copy any creature I control. Inventive Iteration bounces a creature or planeswalker, recurs an artifact, and becomes a creature. Carry, the Swirling Sky, has Flying and Ward 3, and upon death I either return any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands, or I can mill 6 and return up to 2 instants or sorceries from my grave. Karn, the Great Creator, turns off all artifact abilities of my opponents. Knowledge Pool exiles the top 3 cards of everyone's decks, and whenever anyone casts a spell from their hand, they exile it. And then they may cast another non-land card from the Knowledge Pool for free. The Leveler exiles my deck on entry, and is the fast track to victory if I control Jace. Mirror Box causes the legendary rule to not apply to me. Mycosymbolitis turns all permanents into colorless artifacts, and when paired with Karn, it shuts down all of my opponent's permanents. Peregrine Drake untaps up to 5 lands on entry, and when paired with Deadeye Navigator, can generate unlimited mana. Phyrexian Metamorph copies any creature or artifact on the field. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces removes the legend rule for me and copies another creature I control. Spark Double copies any creature or planeswalker I control, except it is not legendary. Strionic Resonator can copy a triggered ability I control. Stunt Double can copy another creature. The Reality Chip, my latest work, allows me to play lands and cast spells from the top of my deck if it's connected to a creature. Lastly, Time Warp allows me to take an extra turn. It is worth reminding you that as long as I am on the field, the first artifact, instant, or sorcery I cast each turn is copied. For defense, let's begin with Clone Legion, which copies every creature target player controls. Phyrexian Revoker lets me choose a non-land card name, and abilities of cards with that name cannot be activated. Pongify destroys a creature and replaces it with a 3/3 ape. Reality Shift exiles a creature and manifests its controller's top card. Retract returns all of my artifacts to hand if threatened. Soul Guide Lantern exiles a card from a grave on entry, and can either exile an opponent's grave or draw me a card when I sacrifice it. Spellskite can change the target of a spell or ability to itself. Spell Swindle counters a spell and creates treasures equal to the countered spell's mana value. Sublime Epiphany allows me to do a plethora of different things. Lastly, Tamiyo's Completion, my greatest work, enchants a creature, artifact, or planeswalker. It becomes tapped and unequipped if it's an equipment, and loses all abilities and does not untap. For ramp, I have Arcane Signet, Burnished Heart, Cold Steel Heart, Gilded Lotus, Skyclave Relic, Solemn Simulacrum, Soul Ring, Sword of Hearth and Home, Sword of the Animist, thought vessel, and worn power stone. For lands I have Glimmer Void, Inventor's Fair, Power Depot, Reliquary Tower, Seat of the Synod, Treasure Vault, and 24 lands. Prepare yourselves for the Phyrexian invasion. No one, not other planes, not even planeswalkers, are safe from us now.